Yeah. John is an accomplished financial professional with more than 20 years of experience in leadership roles in government and corporate finance and accounting, internal and external audit, compliance, management consulting, and startups. He came directly to us from the city of Detroit, where he was the agency chief financial officer for the Public Infrastructure Group, which includes serving as the actual CFO for the Detroit Department of Transportation, Department of Public Works, Municipal Parking, and the airport, with a combined adopted budget of approximately $330 million. He directed a team of 28 salaried and hourly employees. Prior to that, John served as the regional controller for the Delaware North Company's sports service. There, he directed all financial and reporting functions related to premium dining, concessions, and retail for the Western region, which included 18 stadium and arena locations. There, he oversaw an annual revenue budget of $300 million, including financial reporting and accounting, financial analysis, and cash management. Before that, John served for several years with the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino, where he was the CFO and Vice President for Finance, as well as the Executive Director, Finance and Compliance Officer. He started his career in the audit arena and has worked with Arthur Andersen, as well as General Motors, and also in auditing at MGM. John has a Master of Accountancy from the University of Mississippi and a Bachelor of Business Administration and Accounting focus from the Jackson State University. So you can see that he is a well-established financial expert, and we're very, very fortunate to have him join our team. With that, he'll be presenting on the items before you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. I'd like to welcome you on board and we all look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Janelle, for that introduction. I appreciate it. And glad to be here. And I look forward to working with everyone here. Considering the uncertain economic climate surrounding the debt ceiling debate, the county has explored using the remaining unobligated ARPA funds. The Department of Management budget respectfully requests authorization of $190.3 million in identified unobligated ARPA funds under the revenue replacement category to reimburse county eligible expenses, specifically government service expenses incurred since March 3rd, 2021. These government expenses may include, but are not limited to, personal expenditures, associated fringes, materials and supplies, operating expenses, contractual services. The county has also consulted with Corporation Counsel as well as outside counsel regarding this matter to advise in the eligible use of these funds. We believe that's prudent and apparent in uncertain economic climate to provide greater assurance for complying with the U.S. Treasury requirements of ARPA. If approved, along with the complementary amendment of appropriation ordinance, eligible general funds, government service expenses will be reimbursed and charged to the SLRF fund. This will then free up general fund monies, which will be reserved and assigned to general fund balance. These funds cannot be used without appropriation by commission. And I would turn it over to the rest of my staff for further details and any other questions.
Thank you. Next staff person who will be presenting.
Good afternoon. If you have any questions,
Please state your name for the record.
My apologies. Robert Whittigan, Chief Deputy Financial Officer for the county. So I think now, if you have any questions pertaining to what CFO Wallace said or any questions regarding your next item on the budget amendment, the budget director is here also.
So one moment. So at this time, I'll ask, are there any questions? Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you. Hello. So this is the totality of the ARPA monies that we received, right? So it adds up to the almost 339. Haven't any of those monies left the county yet? Because we had the two, I always say phases, but I'm not saying the right.
Yeah, there are phases. Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Jake Brower, Budget Director through the chair. So overall, the Wayne County received a total award of approximately $339 million. Of that amount, the $190 million that you see before you in this budget adjustment that is being proposed is the amount that is unobligated towards batch 1 and batch 2 projects. And so this is the remaining amount of funds that we are proposing to use for government services, those being services provided to our constituents towards costs that the county has already incurred.
Okay, because last time we had a presentation, I can't remember who it was, said that we only had 166 million at that point. So that's what I guess my question is, that 30 million, is it just not been given out to, it's been obligated, but hasn't been given out to the communities yet?
Yeah, so when we designed this budget adjustment, we considered several factors and definitions. So when it comes to the grant, there's a distinction between what we've budgeted for various uses and what has been obligated in the form of this body, the commission, approving a contract for a set amount or for a set purpose. And so when we factor that into consideration, we took out all the various definitions, made sure that we were consulting with what is the exact dictionary definition according to the final rules of what is obligated. And that's where we came up with this $190 million of remaining funds that, and that we reconciled with our existing budget today.
Okay. So I guess my question is, have any of the communities actually received the fund yet from the
Yes.
ARPA? They have.
Yes.
So I guess that's where I'm confused about these numbers.
Yeah. And what the proposed budget adjustment will do, it will not impact any obligations that have already been set by commission. So those are still obligated for their original purpose.
Right.
Interim Director of Economic Development, Hassan Sheikh. Just to elaborate on your question, Commissioner Marecki, the way that we've been operating in the sense of getting the monies out is we go through you all for the commission, the approval after it goes through the entire internal process, right? Once that happens is we don't just give them a blank check for, like, say if the project was $10 million, you're not just gonna get a $10 million check. We wanna see work being done. So there's an invoicing process. right? So once they provide us with an invoice for not work done, but work that they think is going to get done, we go through that, then we provide them the funds, and then we cross-check, and then we true up the system afterwards just to make sure that the amount that is put into their account or into their hands does not exceed the amount that was approved by this body here.
Okay, that sounds good. And so Hassan, while you're up here,
Of course.
if and when we do this, are we still looking at phase 3 projects? Are those things still going to happen?
Yes, yes. So this process here is separate from the process of us going through the projects. That is a whole
Right.
different item, and that is not in terms of this. This process here is to make sure that we are simply taking a look at the funding and making sure that that funding stays with us.
Stay safe, basically. All right, thank you.
Okay, I have a question. Does that conclude your question?
Yeah, I'm all set. Yep.
Thank you. Before I call on Commissioner Baker McCormick, a quick question. You mentioned that you checked with outside attorneys as well as internal attorneys regarding the actions that we're taking today. Was there any written opinion, both from internal counsel, external counsel, that clarifies or reaffirms the action that we're taking, that, like you said, that these monies are properly being encumbered and allocated appropriately where they will meet the criteria as being money spent?
Good afternoon, Haris Ahmad with Corporation Counsel. So we did advise Corporation Counsel did put a memo in place internally. And also we used the Allen Law Firm, which was our outside counsel, and they corroborated that. And we've also confirmed from other sources unofficially, but that have knowledge of the process. So yeah, we're comfortable with the legality of what we're doing, and we have citations, and we're comfortable with it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And has that been provided to commission staff?
Commission counsel and commission staff have seen the substance of the opinion. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll now recognize Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is on here. Okay. Is there a reason why we haven't moved on some of the other projects that we have? I know some of them have been kind of sitting in a queue waiting. Why wouldn't we just go ahead and, allocate, appropriate those dollars towards a couple of the projects that I know are kind of just been sitting there?
So again, Interim Director of Economic Development, Hassan Sheikh. So again, this process is separate from us deciding on those projects. The batch 3 phase that we're in right now, we had the batch 1, batch 2, we're now in the batch 3. That is still going to be going through. Once we kind of go through this, we'll go right back into our internal process of making sure we're identifying the projects that go through all of our checks that we've displayed to you all through our presentations as well.
Right. So the question is, if we've identified some time ago, some of these projects have been, kind of just sitting around for months and months. And so is there a reason why we just didn't appropriate funds for a few of those projects, or
So I'm getting
You
the
get
question.
the
So I'm
question?
getting the question. So I
Yeah.
think that comes into the definition of the word obligate the funds, right? And for us, there's the difference between saying, okay, we've identified the projects, it's gone to the commission, and then the topic of obligating the specific funds, which is where we're at right now, and we're trying to make sure that those funds are getting obligated. Identifying projects, like we've identified projects in batch 1 and batch 2, but not all of those funds are obligated because they haven't received the funds, because it's based on the invoicing process. So right now we're in the process of trying to protect the funds, also making sure that the satisfaction of the obligation of those funds are happening, and then we'll again move towards the long list of projects that are there and available for us to identify for the batch 3 phase.
Okay, so the funds that we are, I guess, shifting to another fund or pot, they're still going to be used for the various projects?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Clemente and then Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think something did not come out today about that there's a timeline here. If you could talk a little bit about that, somebody, because we are doing this because of, there's a timeline on expending these funds. So if someone could bring that up, I think that would put some clarity.
Yeah, again, Rob Whittigan, Chief Deputy Financial Officer. So currently, the timeline you all face with these funds are they must be obligated by 2024, expended by 2026. However, given the debate on the debt ceiling right now in DC, we're faced with the reality of there have been packages submitted to solve the debt ceiling by taking back or clawing back any unobligated ARPA dollars out there. So that's what we're facing. So what this proposal does for you is your process does not change at all. As mentioned, phase 3 projects are still in consideration. It just obligates the funds. We report to Treasury, that these funds are going towards allowable government expenditures. And then that frees up your general fund dollars to still do what you wanted to do, but on your timeline versus the current timeline.
Thank you. And also, they will be there because they will be recorded on the balance sheet, whatever you want to call it, that these are funds that will be used for further projects that will be approved through the economic development process and commission. Sorry.
Well, the key thing is these funds are will be in a fund in order for any monies to come out of that fund. It requires action by this body. Yeah.
Correct. That's what I'm getting to.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Recertification of the funds, in other words.
So just so that, because we're here on the record, so we should be clear, I think, about a few things. So one is that what the action that's being asked to be taken will not only obligate the funds, but it will also expend the funds because there's two requirements.
Correct.
By December 31st, 2024, you have to obligate, and then by December 31st, 2026, you have to have expended them. This transaction would, by reimbursing the county for past expenses from March 3rd, 2021, will actually obligate and expend. So thereby.
So the ARPA monies are gone. Yeah. And so the whole conversation about batch 3, that's a whole different type of conversation. So the ARPA monies will be gone by the action that we're taking in compliance with the law.
Correct. So because the ARPA funds, the SLURF funds would be used to do the reimbursement, and then now an equivalent amount would be available in the general fund, which are no longer SLURF or ARPA, and then but they are subject to appropriation.
Correct. I mean, so let me ask counsel, you were about to say something? Oh, correct. Thank you. Yeah. So just saying, right. So in other words, we will, after this action, we won't be referring to any of the batches or any of the funds associated with ARPA for when it comes to these projects. I'm sorry. Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just backing up a little bit, I just wanted to make sure I have this straight, that I guess what I would like to know what guarantee this commission has that phase 3 will be happening, that it's not going to disappear or money lessened, the dollars lessened. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I would just if it's worth anything, that my words standing before you, that the process, we're not considering changing the process. That was never part of our discussions. It was purely just to ensure that Wayne County does not lose any dollars due to whatever is going on in DC, essentially.
Yeah.
I heard we're not considering, but I didn't hear we will not consider.
Yeah, and so one benefit, speaking to the structure of this budget adjustment that you see before you. So the way that this operates is that we are recognizing the reimbursement for these general fund, general purpose expenses that have occurred, providing direct services to constituents. So those funds are being, that funding is being withdrawn from these departments' budgets as the money is being reimbursed. So they cannot then take these reimbursed expenses and use them towards other purposes because we are already reserving that in the county's fund balance. And so in order to access those funds would require this body.
Janelle Allen, I can speak on behalf of the County Executive's Office and tell you that, yes, we are still considering the batch 3 projects. I will also say, though, that the batch 3 projects in total, they exceed the amount of unobligated funds. So we are really going through a very thorough, comprehensive vetting process. But I would tell you again, the plan is absolutely, we're considering the projects that were in the pot, if you will, for batch 3.
Amount of money you said will exceed the 190 million.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
You're saying the amount of money that will be available for the third round would be in excess of the $190 million we're looking at right now. Is that?
I think you said that the projects that are in.
I'm saying that the projects that are pending review, their project requests exceed 190 million.
But you're not saying that we will expend that amount of money over 190,000. You're saying that the ones that have been submitted up to this time exceed the amount. You're not saying that we're going to spend more than 190.
That's right. But what I'm saying though still is that it's not that we're trying to say that money that was originally designated as ARPA is not going to be used for eligible uses with ARPA funds. That is still the plan. And that will absolutely include projects that are still out there that were being considered for batch 3. But I will say that some of those projects will not be able to be funded because our request exceeds the amount of available funds.
So are you saying that we have your word that this money will still be available for that third round?
I'm saying yes, that you have that. Some of these funds, and I'm thinking that most, and the reason why I'm not just saying committing, because I know they're still reconciling the numbers, but when we're saying the unobligated funds, that if we had come to you on behalf of saying these are ARPA funds to spend, those are still being considered embedded for the batch 3 projects.
That the dollars will not be used for any other purpose.
Other than, yes, for projects that were being considered as batch 3 ARPA projects, yes.
Okay, so
That's, excuse me, Mr. Chair, that I'm asking, will you state for the record that it will not be used, the money that is being reserved will not be spent for other uses other than that the third round projects?
Yes, and when you say that, I'm saying for things that were ARPA eligible for batch 3, yes, that's what this money is being restricted for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to ask about the outside counsel whose opinions were given also. If you would provide us a list of who those were, or if you can tell us.
I'm requesting a copy, not the list. I'm requesting actual for our staff to get a copy of those opinions. Yeah.
Which other firms were you? I heard one, I think. So
Yeah, on the record, there was only one.
only one.
Alan.
Yeah. And we feel confident. We feel confident in Corporation Counsel's opinion itself, but we did get an outside counsel, and we had that.
Is that?
And we did provide the substance of that already to Commission Counsel and staff.
I'm asking if you can give copies of the opinions to our staff lawyers, just for the record. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, again, I'll talk to Commission Counsel, but as I said, I'd already given the substance of it.
Follow-up question. If you only sought the opinion of one firm, is that wise? That seems to be less than I would want to seek the opinion of.
But again, thankfully, Corporation Counsel, we are licensed attorneys and
I
quite
understand.
experienced. So meaning when we look at it, we don't just look at opinions and we look at publications, we look at, the opinions are actually drilling down to the Social Security Act itself, to the CFRs, 31 CFR, looking at the FAQs, looking at the final rule, and they do cite them. The opinions cite those. We have also unofficially talked to, and we are working on, a possible consultant, which would be, pretty reputable, large consultant that has already unofficially given the opinion that they agree with our assessment. I have also found personally, and I will provide that to Commission staff, but a publication by reputable public university where they have actually opined that this transaction would be something that would be a possibility that would be allowed. So we feel confident in it. If, we don't typically go and spend money on, each outside opinion will cost money, but if that's what's needed, then we'll discuss it with the administration and they can sort that out.
Well, because of, so let me ask you and ask our counsel. Counsel, what's your thought as it relates to the necessity for another opinion? They sought an outside counsel, sought outside an opinion. We have that. And, based on them saying that time is of the essence as it relates to this action today, what's your thought?
Through the chair to this honorable body, I have had several discussions with Corporation Counsel. They have provided some information. We've discussed that information. I am not, and I do not purport to be an expert on ARPA, though the information provided did make sense. I have not seen any legal opinions, but I am relying and trust that Corporation Counsel have done their due diligence. And they are obviously have to protect the county's interests, and I would trust that they have done so. So I would leave it to their discretion with regards to whether another opinion has been sought. I have been advised that they've looked at it personally, internally, and that they have consulted a firm, an outside counsel firm, but I won't opine that they need another opinion. Again, I think it's within their discretion because they are obligated to protect the interests of the county.
Thank you. And so once again, the actual opinions, can you just provide the actual opinions to the copies of those to our counsel? Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Any additional questions? Next item on the agenda.
Item number 2, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2023-35, 198, decertifying revenue in the general fund and certifying and reallocating expenditures in the state local fiscal recovery fund.
Would be presenting on this.
Hello, Jake Brower, Budget Director. Would you like a brief summary or does anyone
Just
have
a brief summary, and then I'll open up for any questions if any commissioners have any.
So the structure of this budget adjustment is reimbursing the county for eligible expenses that is incurred for activities consistent with the American Rescue Plan Act. We are proposing to reimburse these expenditures and then pay for the expenditures out of our ARPA fund. The balance of these expenditures, which the county has borne the expense of, will then be reimbursed accordingly and committed to our fund balance.
Thank you. Any questions? This is pretty much tied to the earlier action request. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item number 3, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2023-35, 128, reallocating expenditures in the community corrections fund.
Jake Brower, Budget Director again. In summary, this is really cleaning up our accounting structure for this activity. So within this business unit, there was previously the activities of 2 departments, one of which being the prosecutor. In the interest of giving the prosecutor better visibility of their employees and activities within this, we are splitting that portion of their budget away from the other department such that there'll be 2 business units going forward.
Any questions? Any questions? We'll now have a motion on items 1, 2, and 3. Please make a motion. Commissioner Marecki moves and is seconded by Commissioner Clemente. We will now vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda?
Next item, item F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I know of none. Next item.
Item G, public comments.
Madam Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom with their hand raised, or have you received any communication from anyone to address this committee?
No communications have been received and there are no hands on Zoom.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to address this committee at this time? I see no one. Next item on the agenda.
Item H, adjournment.
Motion is in order. It's been moved. Support? Is there support? Moved and supported. Please vote. Well, meeting stays adjourned.